Hello everyone, and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, where Sean and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order.
Even the pornos.
Even the pornos. I'm Tennille.
I'm Sean. And today's the pornos, so if your child get out.
Yep, today we're talking about mature topics, at least as much as YouTube can allow.
Mm-hmm.
And, this was made in the 70s, and it's porn, so, problematic content incoming.
Yeah. Once Upon a Girl
yes.
from the United States, 1976.
Severin Films.
Severin.
Severin Films. This was animated by a group of Disney and hanna-barbera animators.
Just getting super horny on Maine.
Yep. And by Maine, we mean in Hollywood and deciding to distribute this theatrically. So that Sean and I have to watch this decades later. They did it to spite us.
Yes,
specifically.
Us specifically, sure.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, we've watched a lot of quote-unquote erotica films up to this point. This is the first one I feel like I can just point at and be like,
straight
yes,
slut.
This is porn. This is just porn.
This is just porn. They're not trying to tell a story. They're not really even trying to tell many jokes.
Yeah, like the erotica films we've watched in the past, it's
or like the Tezuka films.
It's smut for art's sake, which, I can kind of jive with that.
Or like the Italian films.
I can vibe a little bit with that.
Or the Italian films are more of just comedies that involve...
Those I can less vibe with.
Pornographic stuff. But this is just, you're horny.
Yeah.
And you want to see fairy tale characters bang it out.
Mm-hmm. And I have to do this again because, again, this was horribly unattractive. And so it is time for me to go on my rant of animation is a sexy, sexy format, which should be the easiest thing to make porn with, like the best medium to make porn with. But y'all didn't even manage that, so shame on you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so to get into this movie, there's a framing device, of course, because all of these horrible bad movies need these horrible framing devices where there's a live action segment at the beginning where it's modern, quote unquote, contemporary, modern.
Was it Alabama? It was somewhere in the South, I know that for sure.
It's some, hometown America town. And they've got the real Mother Goose there. And she is on trial because she wants to tell the stories. These fairy
real stories of the fairy tales.
Yeah, she wants to give you the true fairy tales, which just takes me right back to my childhood and the post-Shrek days.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So she tells the tales of Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, and Red Riding Hood, except everyone is banging all the time.
Yeah, you would think it's like that fan fiction trope where, it's just the same story, but there's sex in it this time.
No.
That's, that kind of happens in some of them, but
others just the Red Riding Hood is completely different. It has nothing to do with Red Riding Hood, other than the main character.
I have never heard this version of Red Riding Hood. There wasn't even a wolf in here. Is there multiple Red Riding Hood stories I'm just not familiar?
No grandma,
with?
Just a bunch of huntsmen.
Yeah, Red Riding Hood is trying to get to a church because she's late for a wedding because she's always late. I'm like, I do not remember this at all.
All right, so we're not going to go over plot synopsis at all.
No.
I'm just gonna say, this movie tries to explore many different fetishes and kinks some of which are generally frowned upon by society for good reason. And this movie doesn't handle some of them very well. Like, Red Riding Hood has a man force himself upon her, and she is not okay with it. And then she has a sexual awakening.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. This is just continuing to feed into that specific culture, and that is not okay.
And, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack is still a child. And, you know, this is a porno. So
he gets down with adult characters and the giants, because of course he does. And like, all right, fine. It's like fiction, especially like non-real people fiction, is a way to explore a lot of impossibilities and taboo subjects in sexuality.
because it's not harming real people.
Exactly.
However, it still perpetuates those ideas, which can be harmful to people.
Yes, which is why it's like continuing to use the man forcing himself upon women
as a sexual awakening for a girl
is a terrible thing to keep doing.
Yes.
Like, there's a different word for it, but we're not saying it because YouTube is going to pick up on that word.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Past that, the other things that...
By the way, don't get your hopes up that, you know, because Disney people or hanna-barbera people worked on this, that this looks good, because it doesn't. It looks like trash.
It's cycled animation over and over and over again with the worst sound effects over on
Okay, I have to talk about this soundtrack. It is in my notes.
Okay.
This soundtrack will haunt me until the day I die. There is just this soundtrack that loops over and over again, and it's... It is horrible.
It's like, oh, is this supposed to get me in the mood? Because it's not.
It's like a just regular old shitty cartoon, like, soundtrack, but it's being played over
explicit content constantly.
Yeah, it just, oh my god, why? And then, okay, we keep cutting between all these stories. We keep cutting back to this framing device of Mother Goose in court explaining the stories. And, of course,
it's a hot, sweaty day, so everyone's just feeling hot and sweating. They slowly lose more and more clothes until the very end of the
courtroom turns into an orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
It doesn't need to be there at all. It doesn't make any sense.
These are, again, some of the unsexiest stories, but it's all leading to this. People in the 70s had low standards, that's all I'm gonna say.
It's because they don't have the internet yet.
They don't have the internet
And they're
yet.
all feeling... It's weird to say, but the people in the 70s are feeling sexually repressed.
Yes, the 70s. A time period known for sexual repression.
Yeah. That was a funny joke I just made.
Oh, man. All right, well...
One other thing I want to bring up.
Oh, another important thing...
Yes.
Before you go into that, is that, because it was also the 70s, most of the roles here, even the female roles, are played by men.
Yeah. Mother Goose.
It's just a guy cross-dressing.
Whenever they're, like, there are, like, 5 people listed for doing voices in this movie. All of them are men, or except for 2 women, who presumably do...
The hot girls.
All the hot girls, because all the hot girls are just hot girls.
Yeah.
Like, every female character is just the same character with different hair colors.
They managed to get 2 girls.
Well, you know, I was gonna say I think the one might have just played like the stepmother in the Cinderella.
Oh, maybe.
You know? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of which, so going back to kinks briefly, this movie essentially aggrandizes every kink imaginable except for one. And it's kind of weird that that's the one that they don't, because it's a big issue in America. The stepsisters are sexually active with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that is one of the most common frowned upon sexual kinks out there. But it is also one of the most prevalent kinks out there that people still search in America.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so they're twins and they're sexually active with each other. And yet this movie frowns upon that when it aggrandizes everything else, and that's just the part that confuses me.
It's like, way to pick your battles movie, I guess.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a no-go. But all these other things, hell yeah. I'm like,
yeah, it's like,
what?
This one, that one's gross, but everything else here, hell yeah. I'm like, all right.
That just threw me for a loop. It's like, really? Really?
You're gonna put your foot down on this one?
This one specifically.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
It's
all
like,
right.
I'm done.
I don't even know what I have to add to that. Just, yeah.
So
Definitely not a movie we recommend.
No, if you're horny, don't watch this. Just go look at actual porn.
Yeah.
If you're not horny, definitely don't watch this, because that's all it is. It's bad porn.
Yeah, it's not even, like, funny to watch, you know?
The only reason I would say watch this movie is if you have a bunch of friends that you're totally okay with watching bad porn together and making fun of it, you might have a fun time watching this as just like a group party of watching something stupid. But even then, that's still such a small group of people that most people don't watch this film.
I mean, you gotta be pretty close with your friends to be okay with watching even shitty porn together with. So, yeah, this one's a hard pass.
Yeah. But you know what that means?
I don't want all of you to have that soundtrack stuck in your head for the rest of your lives. So, you know, I'm doing y'all a favor here.
You know what? Now that we finished this movie, we have finished these 2 years.
Yeah.
Which means we have finished 66 or 76 or 75 and 76.
There you go.
Which means next episode will be a wrap up.
Hooray!
The Lizard and Cat Award Show. And I'm pretty sure this will be the last wrap up that covers more than 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
Every year after this, we'll be doing a yearly wrap up compared to a multi-year
remember we were
wrap-up.
doing decade wrap-ups?
Yeah.
Granted, that being said, I think we are going to do a decade retrospective.
Yeah, we'll do like a decade retrospective
for the 70s.
For the 70s and possibly every decade after that.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's so far in the future, I don't want to think about it. But yeah, we'll definitely do a 70s retrospective of everything together. Either way, that's gonna be it. So, see you guys next time for some awards.
Bye-bye!